Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of Quirkiest Pro Facts About English. We really hope you like our work, so please keep those likes and comments coming and smash the subscribe and bell icons to have YouTube notify you when new stuff drops on our channel. With that behind us, here are some more of the quirkiest quirky things about the English language. Number 1 today is the word uncopyrightable, which is the longest English word with no repeating letters. That's right. The English language is a rich tapestry of words and expressions with a vocabulary that is constantly evolving and expanding. And among the many fascinating and quirky aspects of English is the fact that it contains many unusual and obscure words that are rarely used but are nonetheless interesting to know. One such curious word is uncopyrightable, the longest English word with no repeating letters. Uncopyrightable, as you may already know, is a legal term that is used to describe something that cannot be copyrighted, such as an idea or a fact. And although it has 15 letters, not a single one of those letters repeats in the word. This makes it unique in the English language, as most long words tend to have repeated letters or syllables. The word uncopyrightable is also an example of the power of some languages like English to create new words and expressions as needed. You see, it is a compound word made up of 3 distinct parts. Un meaning not, copyright meaning the legal right to control the use and distribution of a creative work, and able meaning capable of being done or achieved. But together, these parts form a word that describes something that cannot be copyrighted. And while uncopyrightable may not be a word people like you and I use every day, it serves an important purpose in the legal world. It helps to clarify the boundaries of copyright law and gives us a clear definition of what can and cannot be protected by copyright. So, by creating a word that describes something that is beyond the scope of copyright, the English language is able to capture a complex legal concept in a concise and elegant manner. And this is why we believe the word uncopyrightable is a unique and interesting word in the English language. Its lack of repeating letters makes it stand out among other long words, while its legal meaning also gives it a practical and important purpose. It is a reminder of the power of language to create new words and expressions, and of the many unusual and obscure words that are waiting to be discovered in the rich and diverse landscape that is the English language. Number 2, the word goodbye is derived from the phrase God be with you, which was a common parting phrase in 16th century England. Language is a product of culture, and like culture, language is a constantly evolving system with new words and expressions constantly being added to the lexicon while others fall out of use. The word goodbye is an excellent example of a word whose origins reveal fascinating insights into the history of the English language. The word goodbye is derived from the phrase God be with you, which was a common parting phrase, as I shared earlier, in the 16th century England. In the 16th century, it was customary in England to use the phrase God be with you as a parting blessing when saying goodbye. The phrase was used to express a sense of goodwill and to convey a hope for the person's safe journey or well-being. Over time, the phrase began to be contracted, with the God be becoming good. Thus, God be with ye became goodbye. The word goodbye has since become a standard part of the English language, and it is used all over the world to say farewell. The word has also taken on various connotations depending on the context in which it is used. For example, it can also be used to express sadness at parting or to signify the end of a conversation or a relationship. But the origins of goodbye are just one example of the rich history of the English language. This language has undergone many changes throughout its history, and its vocabulary has been influenced by numerous languages, including Latin, French, and German. And the origins of the word goodbye provide a window into the cultural and linguistic history of England in the 16th century. And that is why we believe the word goodbye is a fascinating example of how language can evolve and change over time. Its origins in the phrase God be with you reveal a rich cultural and linguistic history, and the word has not only survived but also become an essential part of the English language. And while a language continues to evolve, it also helps to know its roots and the many influences that have shaped its vocabulary and syntax. Number 3 today, the English language has borrowed more words from French than any other language, including Latin and Greek. The English language has a diverse history that spans over 1500 years. Throughout its evolution, it has undergone numerous changes and has been influenced by various cultures and languages. One of the most significant of these linguistic influences on the English language is French. In fact, the English language has borrowed more words from French than any other language, including Latin and Greek. You see, the Norman conquest of England in 1066 marked a significant turning point in the history of the English language. And the Normans, who spoke a dialect of Old French, introduced a range of new vocabulary and grammatical structures to the English language. Over the next few centuries, French became the language of the English court, and the French-speaking nobility began to influence the English language in every way imaginable. And that is why many of the French words that were borrowed into English during this period were related to the fields of law, government, and religion. For example, words like jury, judge, parliament, clergy, and chapel were all borrowed from French and became a part of the English lexicon. In addition to these more formal terms, French also introduced a range of culinary and cultural vocabulary to the English language, including words like cuisine, restaurant, ballet, and museum. Although French influence in English wasn't met without some early resistance, the borrowed words soon became an essential part of the language, and over time, the pronunciation and spellings of many of these words evolved to become more English-like. However, fast forward all the way to today, and many French words that were borrowed into English have become so commonplace that they are considered to be native English words. But the influence of French on the English language continues even to this day, and many modern English words are still being borrowed from French. Words like rendezvous, souvenir, and entrepreneur are all recent examples of French words that have been incorporated into the English language. And this is how French had a significant influence on the English language throughout its history, and many of the borrowed words have become an essential part of the English lexicon. This heavy borrowing of words into English just shows us how foreign influences can make a language and culture more rich and diverse, and it also highlights the importance of language in cultural exchange and communication. That's the end of this episode, guys, but while you're here, why not check out one of our other videos? Here's one we can strongly recommend. Thank you.